Today's webinar is entitled Green Your Hotel's Laundry Operations. Our speakers today are Peter Gorin, Bob McManaway, Scott Larson, and Davin Callahan. Peter Gorin is the president of the American Green Lodging and Hospitality Association. Previously, Peter co-founded and was the former director of Florida's Green Lodging Program, and he has over 30 years of green experience. Bob McManaway is the Director of Plant Operations and Support Services at Tradewinds Island Resorts and Conference Centers, an 800-bed, Two Palms certified beachfront resort in St. Pete Beach, Florida. Bob has also served as a member of the State's Green Lodging Technical Advisor Group. Scott Larson is the General Manager for the San Antonio Airport Holiday Inn. He has 18 years management experience in the hospitality sector. Davin Callahan, founder of SkyCon, is the chair of Chattanooga's Green Business Participation Team and the chair of the Greater Chattanooga Hospitality Association's Green Committee. Davin also served as the chair of the board of directors of the National Recycling Coalition and the board of the Buy Recycle Business Alliance. So we're going to go on now with our first presenter, Peter.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before I get started, I just have a little qualifier here. The information in this presentation is for educational purposes only. It's not meant to represent or reflect the requirements of any public or private organization certification program. What are the environmental impacts of a typical hotel laundry? Well, you've got water consumption, and with that comes the generation of wastewater. You've got energy consumption, both gas and electric. You've got the generation of solid and hazardous waste. And you've got impacts on indoor and ambient air quality. Well, the generation of greenhouse gases, both directly, such as through the release of VOC compounds from spot cleaners and dry cleaners, and the off-gassing of new equipment and furniture. And then you've got indirectly through the consumption of products and utilities and the disposal of waste. With all the environmental impacts comes operational costs associated with them. Now, I'm not going to give you any specific operational costs, first, because they vary greatly in relationship to utility costs, property size and type, and the labor costs. Second, it's almost impossible to get any financial information from properties, as you can imagine. So, with that, to operate a typical hotel laundry, you have labor costs. You have the cost of utilities, water, energy, wastewater, solid and hazardous waste disposal. You've got insurance costs, health, life, and property. And you've got chemical costs. Now, I assume many of you have joined us today because you're interested in making your laundry greener and reducing costs. But before embarking on a laundry facility upgrade or major modifications, a property should probably consider having a professional assessment done to determine any waste and inefficiencies in the laundry. If you do this, make sure that the assessor is independent and not a vendor, not someone trying to sell you additional goods and services. I think that's pretty obvious. Or you could consider using a trusted engineer or another knowledgeable individual on a sister property to conduct the assessment. When a laundry begins looking at ways to reduce environmental impacts and operational costs, I recommend they examine it in two ways. You have the physical space or an infrastructure, such as the working space and equipment. Then you have the operations of the facility, which includes actual policies, practices, training, and maintenance. First, let's look at the facility's operations. Making changes in this area tends to cost much less than making changes in the physical facility or the equipment. To reduce energy consumption and costs, consider ways to reduce water temperatures needed in washers, making sure that the actual temperatures being used don't exceed that recommended by the washer or the detergent manufacturer. It should generally be between 160 and 175 degrees Fahrenheit. Of course, using high efficiency low temperature detergents or ozone can allow you to reduce these temperatures. Water temperatures can be reduced around 120 degrees Fahrenheit with some of the low temperature detergents, 75 to 90 degrees for ozone. Now, I know there's some concern about the transmission of diseases in linens where low temperatures are used. But according to the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, and I quote, studies have shown that a satisfactory reduction in microbial contamination can be achieved at water temperatures lower than 160 degrees with laundry chemicals suitable for low temperature washing are used at proper concentrations, unquote. Moving on, consider a water recovery system. Using one will not only recover water, but preheat water for subsequent loads. When using electrical equipment in the laundry, the bulk of the operations should be done at off-peak hours, usually from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. on weekdays, 24 hours on weekends. Off-peak rates can be about 40 to 50% of the on-peak rates. And of course, you need to check with your local utilities for specifics. It may seem intuitive, but all equipment should be shut off when not in use. It will not only save on utility costs, but it will also increase the operating life of the equipment. And remember, when on, all equipment generates waste heat, which can increase your air conditioning costs. Scheduled preventative maintenance of all equipment is a must to ensure peak water and energy efficiency and to increase the equipment's operating life. Keeping and maintaining logs is essential for any and all equipment maintenance. Utilize a high spin speed or extended spin operation for washers to minimize the laundry's moisture content before drying. All air vents and ducts, dryer vents and ducts, and AC returns should be cleaned of mold, dust, and lint at an appropriate and scheduled interval to reduce undue strain on motors, including air handlers. And of course, all properties should consider implementing a towel and reuse program, which, if done properly, can not only reduce energy and water costs, but it can reduce labor and material procurement costs as well. Focusing on reducing energy costs in the laundry physical space, look for ways to increase natural lighting. A property should also consider upgrading its lights to compact fluorescents, P8 linear bulbs, and LEDs. Installing motion detectors and or timers is also a relatively low-cost way to reduce energy usage. Look for opportunities to utilize natural ventilation when appropriate. Be sure to consider any impacts on existing AC systems and take care to prevent the introduction of rodents and insects into the facility. Finally, consider VFDs, variable frequency drives, on all ventilation systems. Talking about any equipment, a property should compare and consider the advantages and disadvantages of upgrading, recommissioning, or procuring new equipment. If it's determined that new equipment is needed, most efficient equipment should be considered, and always consider purchasing Energy Star rated products when available. Keep in mind that Energy Star doesn't rate dryers because they've not found much of a difference between them. So when purchasing a dryer, make sure it has a moisture sensor option, which automatically shuts off the machines when the clothes are properly dried to your specifications. According to Energy Star, purchasing one of their qualified washers could trim more than $1,000 per washer from utility bills over a 10-year period. So, over 10 years of operating 10 machines with natural gas, the facility can reportedly save almost 45% in operating costs. Now, let's focus on ways the facility can reduce its operations costs through water and wastewater reduction. Keep in mind, by cutting water usage, laundries and hotels in general can reduce its wastewater and associated sewer fees. According to the American Water Works Association, 10 to 20% of all potable water is lost by leaks. It's imperative that leaks are taken seriously and stopped as soon as possible. Not only is it costly, it can contribute to the formation of mold, which can be a serious health issue for your staff. Tank aerators in laundries are an easy, low-cost way to conserve water as well. If possible, washers should be fully loaded according to the manufacturer's recommendations prior to running. If a smaller load must be run, water and chemical levels should be adjusted accordingly. All equipment, including washers, should be maintained at peak efficiency. And high-efficiency, low-temperature detergents can also reportedly save and conserve water as well. As mentioned earlier, a properly run towel and reuse program is also a great way to save water and sewer costs. As with energy, prior to replacing any equipment, management must consider the advantages and disadvantages of upgrading, recommissioning, and procuring. And again, if a purchase of a washer is required, the hotel should consider high-efficiency machines such as those rated by Energy Star. Remember that converting to ozone washers can be a moderately priced project with an excellent return on investment. A project should highly consider investing in one of the water reclamation, recovery, and recycling systems. The system can be as simple as a pre-washing tank, similar to what you find in a commercial dishwasher, or it can be as extensive as a full reclamation and recovery system to recycle all of the laundry's water. Now, a water reclamation recovery system reportedly can save as much as 80% on water and sewer costs, and it can reduce energy costs by up to 50%. Looking at the vendor information that's available on the web, it appears that the return on investment can be anywhere from 6 months to 3 years, again, depending on the system that you employ. Use of ozone washers. Well, they can reduce energy costs and costs of water and wastewater. It can reduce chemical costs, and it can increase the life of towels and linen. And it can reduce your waste disposal costs as well. Now, one of the small drawbacks that I've seen is that a facility must have trained in-house technicians or a good maintenance contract to ensure proper performance and safety of these units. Chemicals reduction and replacement. To reduce or eliminate the use of toxic chemicals in a laundry, it's recommended that the detergents be switched to environmentally preferable products. And these products should be third-party certified by an organization such as Green Seal or EcoLogo. Also consider concentrates and some of the bio-based high-efficiency detergents. It's important that all nonylphenolic ethoxylates, NPE-based cleaners and detergents should be eliminated from the laundry. These products, which have been banned in the EU and in Canada, but are still used in the United States, have been scientifically proven to pose a serious health risk to humans and the environment. And finally, laundries should minimize the use of chlorine bleach. Kirby D. Payne, president of the American Hospitality Management Company, recommends utilizing beige linen. They cost about 5% more than white, but the costs can be recouped by the savings that can be seen by not buying bleach and reduced wear and tear on the linens. And the linens reportedly smell and feel better as well. Minimizing or eliminating chlorine bleach improves staff's health and safety. It reduces health insurance liability and reduces staff absenteeism. If a facility has any wastewater pretreatment requirements, reducing chemicals can potentially reduce the need for pretreatment of facilities' effluent. And of course, it's just good for the environment. Air quality and liability reduction. Since conditions in a laundry can be optimal for the formation of mold, staff should always keep an eye out for it and look for ways to prevent it, such as eliminating wallpaper. Yes, I've seen wallpaper in laundries. Using proper interior low VOC mold-inhibiting paint, and using proper ventilation. While at work, laundry workers can be exposed to various levels of mold, causing allergic reactions such as nasal congestion, eye irritation, wheezing, skin irritation, fevers, and even shortness of breath. Workers can also come in contact with cleaning supplies and laundry detergents, including chlorine bleach in sufficient concentrations and for sufficient periods of time, such that they experience other health effects such as respiratory infections, headaches, aggravated asthma, skin irritations, and burning. According to information gathered by about 3,700 employees, about 7% of all hospital housekeeping injuries were caused by harmful substances. Sick and injured workers are not only increase absenteeism, but they also can increase the property's liability, driving up their insurance costs. And it's critical that the laundry's air quality and chemical use be closely monitored. Solid waste generated by a laundry by itself may not be significant, but reducing it as much as possible can help reduce the overall waste disposal cost of the entire property. When looking to reduce waste in the laundry, the 3 R's, reduce, reuse, recycle, should be considered. Reduce the volume of chemical containers. The facility should once again consider purchasing concentrates, this time to reduce packaging. They should ask the vendor to take back all empty packaging for recycling or for reuse. Some containers can be used internally in the hotel for cleaning and general purposes, or they can be given away to staff or donated to schools and other institutions. And remember, many of these containers are recyclable, but you'll need to check with your local recycler to see if the containers that you're using are collected in your area. Old towels and linens can be reused around the property as cleaning rags and hot pads in the kitchen. If sufficient quantities are available and the quality is good, they can also be sold in secondary markets for resale, or they can just be sold as rags. They can also be offered to the hotel staff or donated to homeless shelters and animal shelters. Now, reducing the generation of hazardous waste is critical, as disposal of this can be quite costly. For hotels that still process their own dry cleaning on property, it's probably the largest generator of potential hazardous waste at a hotel. And the industry appears to be undergoing some changes as perchloroethylene, or PERC, the dry cleaning agent, is being phased out due to air quality and health concerns. And it's slowly being replaced by greener chemicals, greener cleaning agents, and new technologies, such as wet cleaning, which is the safest garment cleaning alternative, utilizing gentle water washing machine. Water is the cleaning agent, and biodegradable soaps and conditioners are used. There's also silicone-based dry cleaning technology, which uses liquid silicone rather than water or petroleum-based solvents. And this is used by about 1,400 dry cleaners around 17 countries. Other more environmentally friendly chemicals are also being used, such as glycol esters and hydrocarbons. Now, I want to mention that fluorescent bulbs, which contain mercury, which is a very dangerous, potentially a very dangerous material, needs to be properly managed via one of the many approved methods. I bring this up today because of our current emphasis on the use of energy-efficient bulbs. So, again, I have to emphasize that we're emphasizing the use of these bulbs in the laundry. They need to be properly managed, just like all the fluorescent bulbs in a property. Finally, of course, a hotel's laundry can't hang their property sheets out to dry. You have to consider all the great ways that we've talked about today, such as reducing utilities, labor, and insurance costs, improving staff working conditions, and of course, we want to reduce greenhouse gases, which can have a tremendous impact on our planet.